Hi, it's Denise. Do you want to highlight your company on my next episode of Standout? Click below. Hello, I'm Denise Summers, host of Standout, Calgary Business's new series celebrating the successes of women founders and business leaders. Today we're joined by Kim Blanchette, Senior Vice President, Western Region of Argyle PR. So thanks for joining us, Kim.
Thanks so much for having me, Denise.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. And so tell me a little bit about Argyle and the work that you do there and what your role is.
Sure. So Argyle is a national communications engagement and public relations firm. So we really focus on reputation, communications, building those relationships between organizations and the people they work for, the people they serve. So we are full service, everything you would think in a traditional public relations firm, from communication strategies, crisis communications, digital and creative, consumer marketing. But we offer a few really interesting other aspects of the work. So we have a deep public engagement, public and stakeholder engagement practice, where we really work with organizations to find out from their stakeholders and from the public the information they need to make, pretty major policy decisions, urban planning decisions, those kinds of things. We also work in public health, doing behavioral change marketing, social marketing around issues like tobacco cessation, harm reduction around alcohol and tuberculosis, working with northern and remote communities. And we also have a fairly Indigenous communications practice as well.
Oh, wonderful. And so this has been quite the year for both you and Argyle. Argyle's won some awards. It was awarded 2020 Canadian Public Relations Agency of the Year, and then just recently was on the Globe and Mail's top growing companies in Canada. And so congratulations, that's great. And so what does it take to get on to to be named the top Canadian Public Relations Agency?
I think it's a combination, I think, of the clients we have the good fortune to work with and some of the work that they're doing. I think, things like that really have a real social purpose. So whether we're working with the Institute of Sustainable Finance, or working with 60 Scoop survivors, a lot of the work is really quite meaningful and allows us to really focus on social purpose, on that kind of root of really good public relations where you can connect people and have conversations about really tough issues. I think also the merger and this really unique combination of three really interesting skill sets. So, in Eastern Canada with that traditional model of a PR agency, moving west where we picked up, creative and digital expertise and social marketing expertise with the former group called Changemakers, and then finally the public engagement and public health expertise really allows us to offer this unique service across Canada. And then finally, I think just the growth. I think the opportunities by the merger, really coming out this year with a solid Argyle brand and competing on the national stage has led to significant growth for the organization. And so what that's done is, even in a time of COVID, allowed us to continue to hire, to continue to attract new clients and new mandates. And I think those are some of the pieces that have led to the acknowledgement that we've been getting this year.
Right. Well, that's great. And that merger just took place last year, didn't it?
It was a couple of years ago. It started in 2018, but and so we really did it in a phased approach. Much like we would want to, advise our own clients in terms of taking three very different cultures and different organizations, and then mining what we all liked about where we worked, and really saying, what is that one culture? So, Argyle coming out with our tagline is communicate with confidence. And that is whether you're communicating, you're engaging, or you're actually leading to, earn trust and reputation. That's really at the root of what we do and how we approach our clients. And so I think that's become really appealing, and it's enabled all of our, 100 plus employees to take their skill sets and get behind that kind of organizational focus and brand.
Right. And it's also been a big year for you this year. You uh, were awarded was it a Shield of Service? Is that
It
like
was the Canadian Public Relations Society Shield of Public Service, and it
right?
was a very nice surprise. It was very nice to be recognized by my peers in that way. It was in recognition of the work that I've been doing on ethical PR. I'm the lead of the National Task Force on Ethical Public Relations. So our focus there has really been giving Canadian practitioners with tools and resources when they are faced with ethical decisions and ethical dilemmas. Because it's really easy to say, you know, I advocate for ethical PR. I would never have my ethics compromised. And then you're faced with a tough decision. You're asked to do something by your boss or by a client that you know just really doesn't align with the professional standards that you'd adhered to. So where do you go? So what we've done is we've put a bit of a decision tree, made senior resources accessible. We're rolling out a registry where the public will be able to go online and see which practitioners in Canada have signed on to the Code of Conduct. Oh. And so really making those tools available so that we can shine a light on ethical PR and provide support to people in making those decisions. Because what I found in my career is if you think about it beforehand, you can understand where your ethical line is before you've been pushed across it by circumstance.
Right, right. Oh, exactly. Sometimes in the heat of the moment, it can be challenging. And you also, there was another big achievement for you. You became the first Canadian public relations professional to become a chartered public relations professional. Can you tell me about that? How you?
Absolutely. So I've, as part of my work, you know, I'm the past president of the Canadian Public Relations Society. So I've been really interested in what other associations are doing. And I've been following the Chartered Institute for Public Relations, which is the UK group, for some time, have been a member for some time. And, you know, a lot of what we've been bringing to Canada in terms of PR ethics has been adapted from some of the tools that they have. So they received Royal Charter from the government of the UK in 2015 and started offering this chartership designation, which I have my APR, and it was kind of a next step in that in terms of the process and the recognition. It was a rigorous process. It was also on UK time, so the online assessment took place from 2 a.m. Calgary time to about 9:30 a.m. So that was an interesting process. I did not. I did get the day off. Yeah. But you know, just what was really fascinating is the cohort I was in, and you're given case studies that you have to discuss on ethics, on PR leadership, and on PR strategy. And I was in a cohort with people from across the UK and a couple of other countries. And it was so universal. The challenges, the highs and the lows of the profession. It didn't matter what country we were from. It didn't matter whether we were in-house working for public service or working for an agency or an independent consultant. We were all aligned on, you know, some of the challenges that you face as a PR professional. So that was really, really interesting, and it was exciting. I was really happy to do it, and kind of excited that I was the first Canadian to do it.
Oh, absolutely. Congratulations. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to receive the latest updates and episodes. Hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. And Argyle obviously stands out from many other PR firms, and you've talked a little bit about the work that you do there. And so is there anything else that you can add that sort of makes Argyle stand out from other PR firms?
There's a number of things. And I mean, for me, I spent the first 26, 27 years of my career, you know, in-house working for the public service. And I only just made the jump to Argyle last year. And as we've discussed, it was quite the year to go into private consulting in the middle of a global pandemic. But I think there were a number of things that drew me to Argyle. One of the things was, you know, their CEO, Dan Tish, who I've known through CPRS and known professionally for a number of years. And year after year, you know, I would always kind of have my sights on Argyle at awards time and look at the projects that they were working on. They were really deeply meaningful projects that really, I felt, contributed to social purpose and social good. but also the interaction between the team members. Always just so impressed about how excited people were about the work that they were doing, how inclusive the team seemed. So that was always attractive to me. So when there was an opportunity, as Argyle was growing west, to join part of a growing team, to really jump in, roll up my sleeves, and not know what it was going to look like, but work with the team to kind of figure that out. And what does our new business model look like, and how do we integrate these really talented team members into one cohesive team across the country? And that's just been really, really exciting. And I think it's also been an organization where we're big enough that we can provide that full service, but we're small enough that we're still scrappy, we're still innovative, right. And there's just so much room. There's not a hierarchy there. The most junior of staff have the opportunity to contribute innovative ideas and see them come to fruition. So I find that really exciting.
Very different than a large public organization where there'd be a great deal of hierarchy and then also having to go out and get the work now and instead of being an employee. And
that was probably the biggest. I wrote a blog about it. I actually wrote a blog, which was my open apology to consultants everywhere,
right.
About what I've learned. And the hustle to get the work was, the biggest change for me. Right. And I think the first proposal that I wrote that got rejected, I'm still not over it. Like I was so invested by the time I wrote the proposal in this project. And so, I think a real appreciation for, you're always giving your best to the clients that you have, but you always also have to keep your eye on the opportunities. And it just came from a really good conversation with a cross-country team on, vaccine education and public awareness, right. and how do we help companies and help governments prepare Canadians to really understand the importance of vaccines so that, we can get moving and get past COVID, right. In an era where there's never been more attention on vaccine trials and vaccine successes and failures and what that does to people's perceptions. So the opportunity that we have to bring our skill and our knowledge of the public health and the healthcare landscape to help share that information. So I think there's these great opportunities, but you always have to have your eye on that next opportunity at the same time, making sure you're delivering that service to your clients. And for me, I'm very lucky. I have a built-in mentor, my son, who's working back east for the competition, but has always worked agency. And he was probably my biggest coach in those first 6 months.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful to have him supporting you. And yeah. And so as a business leader, do you have advice for other women that are in similar positions to you or looking at doing something similar to what you've done to transition from one career to a different one?
I guess there's two sides to that. One, the transition. I definitely had moments where I thought, I think I'm too old for this. But I think if you're looking to get out of your comfort zone, there is something exciting and rejuvenating about that, and being back into a learning situation in a learning position. But there's a vulnerability too. I don't think there, are many cases where, a senior vice president is sitting down with, a very junior member of the team and saying, I don't know how to build that budget, or, I'm not quite sure how I track my time, and being open to getting that advice and that counsel. And so I think if you are jumping into something new, be absolutely vulnerable. Right. Don't try to lean on, I came from a place where I was the most senior person on the team. I usually had the answers, to jumping in and trying to figure it out. And there was no way I was going to be in a fake it till I made it situation. I really had to be open about what I knew and what I didn't. But I think in terms of, women in leadership, I would say I've really evolved. I think early in my career, I kind of wore on my shoulder that all I have to do is be the best. All I have to do is just do my best, and it's all going to fall into place, and it doesn't matter. And I think I felt that way until I got into a position of people leadership. And I felt I had a pretty tough skin. And what I noticed was I had very talented women managers and leaders who were giving absolutely rock solid advice. Advice probably better than what I would have come up with. And yet they were being questioned and they were being pushed in a way I didn't see my male leaders being pushed. And I think that's when I really decided I had a responsibility as a leader and as somebody that was responsible for the development of my entire team to take a more active role. So things like joining Lean In, I'm on the board of Lean In Calgary, really advocating for equality and gender parity in everything from, promotional opportunities, training opportunities, and pay. But it really opened my eyes where, I could take that attitude, it was just me and, I'm tough and I can handle it, but really recognizing in how younger leaders are being treated that there still are discrepancies. And the best way to address those is to, respectfully and calmly call them out and correct them. And I think I'm privileged in that I'm in a position where I can do that. I have a seat at the table where I can point that out and make changes in policy. And I think that comes with an absolute responsibility to do so.
Right, right. And do you have a philosophy that you live by?
I would say my leadership philosophy is adapted from a U.S. Air Force general, which seems really, really out of sync. But General Mark Welch did a talk on leadership years ago. It was a TED Talk. It got quite popular. And here was a very, very senior U.S. Air Force general who managed, huge troop sizes. But he started in the middle of his TED Talk, like talking very personally about the different life situations and different aspects of members of his team. And he ends his talk with the quote, "Leadership is a gift given by those who follow." And for me, that's been my leadership philosophy. I follow a servant leader model. It's not about what I need from my team. It's what my team needs from me to thrive. And if you keep that in mind, that leadership is given, it's not taken, then you can do nothing else but try to figure out how to serve your team and how to protect that gift.
Great. Well, thank you, Kim, for joining us today. That was Kim Blanchette, Senior Vice President, Western Region of Argyle PR. I'm Denise Summers, your host at Standout. Thanks for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember, if you want someone to be a guest on our show, be sure to click on the link below. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe so you never miss an episode.